trying to represent it seems, I don't remember this happening.
Well, they thought Harris had a real shot, and she sunk Harris's ship. That's exactly what happened. I mean, if you look at there's a direct correlation between where Harris was standing and where she's at now in that debate. You put holes in her boat.
Which was, I was raising some very important issues related to criminal justice reform, ending the federal marijuana prohibition, and essentially pointing to leadership, because we're all asking to lead this country and bring the experience that each of us has that's very distinct and different. And her whole campaign was based on the premise of being a prosecutor for the people, being the attorney general here in California. And okay, you've said you're proud of your record. This is what you have done when you were in a position to make a positive change for the people. Instead, you chose to do otherwise. And I think that speaks louder than words.
When you had more bullets in the chamber, too, because there was other things you didn't even touch.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't really touch upon her saying to single mothers that she was going to prosecute them and lock them up if they didn't get their kids in school.
Laughing as she did so.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen her talk about that as if it's a good idea, that this was a good solution.
Yeah.
And scare single moms into with a fear of jail if their kid didn't go to school.
Yeah. That's the challenge of this debate format. That's so.
That is tough. Is where we are as a country.
Yeah.
I mean, and when someone gets chopped down, boy, they get chopped down. Like Kamala Harris, when Tulsi Gabbard took her out at the hamstrings, that's a wrap, baby.
Tulsi, we salute you for taking down Kamala.
I mean, dude, everybody was saying she's the one, she's going to run it. And Tulsi,
I even thought she would have a stronger run than she did. And she didn't.
Fell apart.
But did you see
Tulsi made her fall apart. It's fascinating. She just shrunk into the shadows like, oh, and your little dog too. Just,
Did you see the last debate? Because that was like peak. Okay, she's done now.
Oh, yeah.
Because what was her main issue? It was so hilarious to watch this. Her main issue that she decided, I'm going to take a stand on this in the debate.
On Trump with Twitter.
Was she was begging Elizabeth Warren, why don't you support banning Trump from Twitter? I mean, we're talking about two different sets of rules. The most powerful man in the world is violating the terms of service.
Why did she think that was something to hang her hat on?
She's surrounded by absolute morons who are Democratic strategists in Washington, D.C., and they think, okay, you have to outflank Elizabeth Warren on her left on some issue, so use this issue and try to make it seem like you're standing up for the little guy and you're standing up for rules being applied evenly. Joe, I know, man, because even to people who are on the left, that looks like you're just begging for the mods. Like,
well, the real problem is she never did deny what Tulsi said, and she can't.
Oh, you're about her record and how terrible her record is.
The record was awful. The fact
Absolutely.
That what she did with schools is the most disgusting.
The truancy thing?
Yes. Where she
the truancy
threatened
thing is bad.
Single moms with jail if their kids didn't go to school. And she joked around about it at these meetings. She joked around about it in conferences, about how she cleaned it up, and she just had cops knocking on the door. Ha, ha, ha.
It was bad.
Disturbing.
Yeah. What was even worse is there was somebody who was found not guilty on something. They were wrongfully imprisoned, found not guilty on something when it came back up. And then Kamala Harris didn't let him out and kept him in on a technicality and said, oh, your paperwork wasn't filed in the proper time frame or whatever it was.
On purpose herself. She did it herself.
Yes. This is the story that broke.
And why did she do that?
I don't know. I have no idea, but this is one of the things that, Tulsi was shining a spotlight on.
One of the things that Tulsi said, which they use them for cheap labor for the state of California, and she didn't deny any of that. Because
her record is abysmal on this stuff. I mean, there's no defending it.
It's amazing that she got to this prominent position without any of that being exposed, and Tulsi exposed it, just like click, turn the lights on.
Well, look at the Steve Mnuchin thing. This is one that we've known for a while. So Steve Mnuchin was part of Goldman Sachs. He was also the head of One West Bank here in California. And what happened was, during the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession, they were illegally foreclosing on people early and kicking them out of their homes in violation of the law. And so Kamala Harris, it was recommended by her own office, you got to prosecute this guy. Look at what he's doing. She didn't do it. Why? Because he's a big Democratic donor and he was giving money to Democrats at the time. Now, by the way, just in case anybody thinks, oh, this is just a partisan issue and only the Democrats are bad, Steve Mnuchin is in the Trump administration.
Yeah, well,
he picked him.
He's hilarious.
So it's a big club and you ain't in it, is the point, to steal from George Carlin.
It's discriminatory.
It's identity politics.
Yes.
It reigns supreme. And I saw there was like a combating supporters from Kamala Harris and Bernie at some rally or something, and then they just kept shouting, "We need a woman president." It's like that's like the only reason why you like Kamala Harris, you know? I mean,
Kamala Harris, I saw this one speech that she was giving where she was talking about forcing children to attend school by holding their parents accountable, where she instituted a policy where if the kids missed school, the parents could be arrested. Do you know about that?
no.
It was super
That is
disturbing.
insane.
It was super disturbing. And she was talking about how effective it was. And that, they had cops show up at the door of the woman's house who was a single mom who had these children. The kids weren't going to school. Like, hey, no.
She was a cop. I mean, she's a top cop.
Exactly. But that authoritarian nonsense, like that way of thinking, you know why you do that? Because no one's ever done that to you.
Right.
Somebody ever knocked on your fucking door and said, hey, we're going to lock you up in jail because you're a 16-year-old boy when you have 3 kids.
Right.
Listen, if you're a single mom, anyone who's a single mom who has a boy knows, and that fucking boy hits puberty, if they run with the wrong crowd, good fucking luck trying to control them. Good luck. It's hard. It's real hard. And if she's got a job or 2 jobs maybe because she's trying to put food on the table and keep the fucking lights on, and you're going to arrest her because her kid doesn't show up at school, holy shit.
Can you imagine looking at all the problems in our country and being like, you know what? We need to arrest parents if their kids are truant.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, make sure
Who
I'm right
are
about
these
that.
people?
I'm 99% sure I'm correct
looking up
about
an
that.
article about they're talking about her regret about this policy and
Yeah,
she's
gee, I
like
wonder
in
why.
2013.
Got a little bit of
Maybe
negative
because she's
feedback.
running for fucking president.
Right.
You should regret something like that.
You want to hear another
It's
insane
evil.
policy going back to Robert O'Rourke?
There it is. The human cost of Kamala
Oh, my
Harris's
God.
war on truancy. The progressive prosecutor wanted to transform how California responded to students missing
Unbelievable.
school. Parents like, I don't know how to say her name, Cherie Peoples wound up paying the price. So this lady
Oh, I read that. I
probably
remember reading this article.
wound up going
I
to
totally
fucking
forgot
jail.
about it.
Yeah, so I'm correct.
Yeah, and there was a
about
good
this.
reason. Her kid was sick or something,
Yeah.
and she...
I mean, this is why I'm very scared for the Democrats, because Joe Biden might be the nominee. He does not have a good social media team. When he had this family photo for Halloween, I just replied with a photo of a crack pipe. Right? And "Where's Hunter?" hashtag was trending. And I'm like, no matter what you think of Joe Biden, it is not acceptable for his Twitter not to be able to handle this and anticipate it.
Right.
Especially because you have someone who just tweeted his way into the presidency 3 years ago.
Yes.
Like, where are the people who are helping this guy, with his social media game?
Yeah, they can't help him. The people that are mean and funny like that are all Republicans. There's something about the memes that go against Trump versus the memes that go for Trump. Like the pro-Trump memes are so much funnier.
Yeah, the left can't meme is the thing.
They're not that good at it. They're not that good at
one
it.
of my
It's a mean kind of humor.
One of my tweets became a meme when your girl Tulsi took out Officer Harris, and I said, if there's one thing a Hawaiian knows, it's how to roast a pig. And that went wide.
I wonder if she knows about that.
She knows.
Does she?
She knows, yeah.
Did she see it?
She saw it. She saw it.
How do you
yeah.
know she saw it?
Because
Send it to me and I'll make sure she sees it.
Okay.
Please.
I will, absolutely.
I'll send it to her.
Her chief of communications, whatever, follows me on Twitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, she's good.
I like her.
Well, I
like her as a person.
I'm just glad that now that Harris is gone, it's just going to be hilarious for the next year, whoever it is.
Well, the Harris thing was weird, man. That they didn't know the stuff that you could call her out on.
Oh, yeah.
That Tulsi did. But Tulsi didn't even get to the horrible stuff. The horrible stuff was when she was threatening single moms with jail time.
Oh, yeah.
If their kids were truant.
Right.
Imagine you're just barely staying above water as a single mom, and you got to literally make your fucking children terrified that you're going to go to jail in order for them to go to jail. And she was laughing about how that's how she got people to go to jail. That's how she got people to go to school.
And that's the thing, is that I don't think she actually cared. I think this was her means to further her political career.
I think you're right.
Because when you could say a lot of things about Joe Biden, and I have on Twitter. To go on stage and call him a closet racist or imply that, come on. Like, this is...
Is that what she did?
The first debate, she goes, oh, you were against busing. And he's like, I was against it on the federal level. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, who are you fooling?
They're just
you
playing
nasty,
games.
nasty pig.
They're
And
just
she's
playing,
done.
Yeah, they're playing games.
When she dropped out, like, the fans chipped in on my live stream, and I spent $400 on ham, and I did a ham tasting because the pig was done.
Oh.
It was a lot of fun.
Josh, you you were talking about Kamala Harris, and I think this might be a good time to talk about this because she might be the vice presidential nominee. What specifically did she do where there was someone who was innocent or someone who was wrongfully convicted?
Let me give a caveat.
Okay.
Caveat is that I know I'll catch shit from some people that say you have to do everything you can to make sure that Trump is not elected. And I will say that even she's an improvement as vice president if he does pick her. Anything's an improvement in my mind. So with that caveat, it would take this podcast and 4 more to go through. She fiercely fought wrongful convictions and was shamed by judges when she was district attorney in San Francisco. What was the case? The Gage case?
George Gage.
The George Gage case, where her prosecutors hid evidence and they tried to protect. Once she knew that there was evidence that was withheld from defense attorneys, once she should have known, in my opinion, that people were innocent, she tried to protect those convictions. Why? Because she wanted to continue winning. She blocked DNA. She went to great lengths to try to block access to DNA for people that were accused of or convicted of felonies. Think about it. We're talking about a $12 DNA test to see if the biological material from a crime that has been preserved is actually the defendant's, right? She blocked access to that. I mean, the list.
How do you block access to something like that? That seems like that should be a right.
Yeah, it seems like it should be a right, but in a lot of states, there's legislation that says you cannot get access to it, and the rationale behind it is that it will open up a floodgate of criminal defendants asking for the biological evidence in their case to be tested. I mean,
that's the last thing we would want is
Yeah.
more innocent people being freed. So what was her justification for this?
You know, when she's asked for her justification of it, it's always been on a debate stage, and she'll always default to, I stand by my record as a prosecutor, and she's never had an explanation that I have ever seen. I don't know, Jason and I were talking about this before we came on today because there was a New York Times piece by, her name's escaping me.
Lara
Bazelon, which if any of your listeners want to listen to it, she goes into, exhaustive detail about specific cases and things that Kamala Harris did. And, the sad part about it, yeah, that's it right there.
New York Times, Kamala Harris was not a progressive prosecutor.
Yeah, she was often on the wrong side of history.
What is that? The marijuana one that you just highlighted there?
She stood by criminalizing marijuana in this state.
Now, listen, what we can hope is that she's certainly been saying all the right things lately. I don't know what to believe, to be honest.
Well, it's because she wants to be the president.
Well, okay, fair enough. I mean, I like to believe that people can evolve, and I hope that her viewpoints have evolved. Now she supports legalization, I believe, but the fact is it's impossible to ignore. And I hope Biden picks someone else personally, but, we'll see. And
Biden ain't picking anything.
I will.
They're doing it for him at this point.
Well, I'll support him no matter what, who he picks. If he picks her, so be it, because I believe we're in an existential crisis and we need to.
Do you see the
look at this? This is crazy. She could have demanded DNA testing in Cooper's case. Now, Kevin Cooper is on death row. All right, you think about this. If they had denied DNA testing in Clementi's case, he would have been either dead or still on death row. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a test. She has constantly, in case after case, issue after issue, and look, the people that she hurts the most are people of color in this country because they make up,
disproportionate number of
disproportionate,
people in jail.
and so it's
well,
kind
the
of
truant children thing made me fucking sick.
Awful.
She went after the parents of truant children and threatened them with jail time. Imagine you're a single mom. You're just doing your best to put food on the table. You have to work 2 jobs, and your kids are understandably fucking up and not going to school because there's no father around. You know how debt.